Absolutely. And thank you for your outstanding work that you currently are doing at CUNY in building our young men into leaders of the future. You're doing God's work of shaping their minds and instilling confidence in our future Black leadership. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so many people, I walked in, and one of my first cousins from Buffalo indicated that they were getting ready to tune in, and I looked up, and he was sitting in the pulpit. And so he and my uncle, who's always been like a father to me, his name is Israel Washington, and his wife is named Esther Washington. And so they have been rooted in the gospel since day one. And he's been like the second father to me. So thank you for blessing us with your presence. My great friend Dee Belly from Brooklyn. Dee is the chief operating officer for something that the late great Adam Clayton Powell had a vision. And that vision is bringing churches and elected officials together under one roof. And Dee is the Chief Operating Officer of AACEO, the African American Clergy and Elected Officials. And if you have not gone to one of their meetings in Brooklyn at Antioch Baptist Church on the first Friday of each month, Mayor Adams was just there last Friday. And it is Tis James, future Speaker Hakeem Jeffries of the United States Congress, all of them in one room. Talking about what's important in setting policy. So Dee, thank you for driving this point. And then I would really be remiss if I did not thank my godfather in politics, my godmother in politics. And that's Inez Dickens, who has, during her career, has brought billions of dollars to the village of Harlem. Thank you for your outstanding leadership and your results-driven, not willing to accept no for an answer and getting things done for the village of Harlem. Thank you. And this church is rooted in what Dr. Calvin Owens Butts always talked about, of Black excellence, education, and Black excellence. And everybody's not happy when we engage in Black excellence. Think about this church, the origins of this church. When Ethiopian sailors and African Americans were tired of being treated like second-class citizens and worshiping God, made to sit upstairs in the balcony and not in the main street, and had the audacity to leave that segregated environment and create an institution that we call the Abyssinian Baptist Church in all these years, not willing to be treated like second-class citizens, not willing to accept no for an answer, and celebrating Black excellence. This institution reflects Black excellence. Let me just also recognize my 100 Black men brothers. If you would have told me years ago that I would have been president of the founding chapter of the 100 Black men of New York City, I would have asked you a simple question: what are you smoking? But God has a way of elevating us into leadership. You know, it was funny because I became president one month, and then the next month, my cousin Eric Garner got killed by the police in Staten Island. So I said, God, are you trying to send me a message of allowing me a platform to speak out against injustices? And so I served 6 years. I want my brothers to stand up who felt it wasn't robbery to come out and support their brothers in law. Thank you. And I also sit on the national 100 Black Men Board of America. And our former chief operating officer, Dr. Charles Diggs, called me one day. And he said that he was one of the 3 finalists for the Tennessee State University presidency. And as you know, Tennessee State found a flaw in the funding system. They have been shortchanged for all these years, and it adds up to about $2 or $3 billion. And they asked for their money. The governor replaced the whole entire board at Tennessee State University because they don't want to pay Tennessee State University what they're due. And so Doctor called me. He said, I'm thinking about applying for Metropolitan College of New York's presidency. Do you know anyone? I said, well, listen, I'm the chairman of the board. So they had a conversation. The chairman of the board called me back and said they interviewed. He's one of the 3 finalists. However, he is the only one who doesn't have prior presidential experience. And so when he comes back for the final interview, have him talk about his fundraising abilities and his direction when it comes to shaping the minds of young black students. Guess what happened? He's the first black president of Metropolitan College in the city of New York. And then I see Larry Seabrook. And let me tell you something about Larry Seabrook. Larry Seabrook is the only person in politics in this city and state that served the New York City Council, the New York State Assembly, and the New York State Senate. All 3 bodies doing a fantastic job. My man, Larry Seabrook. So I'm the first chief diversity officer for the city of New York since the year 1625 in the incorporation of the city of New York. And during the campaign, I was advising candidate Eric Adams on what he should do on his day 1 execution. And he won the election to become the 110th mayor of the city of New York. And he called me one day, and he said, brother, everything that you have done in your career has led to this moment. I want you to come join my administration, and the first day execution plan that you gave me, I want you to execute it. Now, mind you, we spent 14 years at the New York City School Construction Authority and 14 years at the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, where we awarded billions of dollars to minority women-owned businesses. And why is that important? Why is that important? It's important because you're taking taxpayers' dollars and you're creating jobs in communities of color who have historically been shut out. And with those contracts, you are affording those business owners home ownership opportunities. You're affording their respective families better educational outcomes and better healthcare options. It's a win-win. The more contracts they win, the more black people they hire, the more taxes they pay. It is a win-win for everyone. And so after giving it some thought, initially I turned him down because I felt that I wasn't finished doing what I was called to do at the MTA. And I felt terrible. And so I saw him one night at dinner, and I started giving him some more thoughts and ideas. And someone called me, and he asked me to come back to City Hall. And the first question they asked me, because I was going to give them some more names of some people who I felt would be a great fit. The first question they asked me, are you sure you don't want to take this position? And I said yes. And so the mayor has done everything that he said he was going to do. And I just saw a great sister of mine, Susie Drayton, who is one of the selfless person in this institution that volunteers her time and her efforts and gives back to this great institution. My sister, Susie Drayton. So I'm here to report the success that we have had in 19 months. We inherited 23% minority business inclusion as the city of New York. In 19 months, Mayor Adams has been the only mayor in the history of this great city to go to Albany, work with our legislative leaders, and get all of his minority business bills passed in one session, unheard of. And let me just tell you what the mayor's vision was from day one. That by the year 2026, the city of New York will award not less than $25 billion to minority women-owned businesses. Yeah. And $60 billion by the year 2030. And if the previous 2 years is any indication of what we have done, 2 years ago, $6.3 billion, last year, $5.2 billion, for over $11 billion, we are well on our way. We are well on our way. I had brunch with my assembly lady on Saturday and showed her the metrics. And I said, I felt proud. $5.2 billion in awards. Her next question to me was, and rightfully so, how many of those awards went to black-owned businesses? And we told her $864 million, almost $1 billion. Almost $1 billion. And so, the leadership of Mayor Adams is second to none when it comes to this. But, guess what? Everybody's not happy. Everybody's not happy. But I'll tell you that tough times don't last, but tough people do. That's right. These are strange and trying times. And this is what I know. Mayor David Dinkins, Mayor of the City of New York. Mayor Eric Adams, Mayor of the City of New York. Mayor Harold Washington, Mayor of the City of Chicago. Mayor Maynard Jackson, Mayor of Atlanta, Georgia. Mayor Richard Streets, Mayor of Philadelphia. Mayor Byron Brown, Mayor of the City of Buffalo. Mayor Marion Barry, the Mayor of Washington, D.C. What are the commonalities of all these mayors? Well, they're black. They opened City Hall to all. They were very supportive of issuing contracts for minority-owned businesses. They wanted a strong black middle class. They were all criticized. They were all audited. They were all reviewed. And they were all investigated. Fact of the matter is, Mayor Byron Brown, been mayor of the city of Buffalo, the longest serving mayor in the history of the city of Buffalo. He was being considered by former Governor Andrew Cuomo for a position of lieutenant governor. The FBI comes and raid his offices and take out files. That consideration went away. FBI came in a year later and says that the investigation is over. If Mayor Brown would have became Lieutenant Governor Byron Brown, he would be governor today. He would be governor today. And see, I was so excited about beginning my talk and lecture that I forgot to tell you the theme of this evening. The theme is men of God standing firm in faith. That's right. Men of God standing firm in faith. Taken from 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, and be strong. Sounds like the black community to me. Sounds like the black community to me. And so, everyone is not happy. Think about this. Marcus Garvey, Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, Congressman Charlie Randall, investigated, almost prosecuted. So you're going to tell me that all of these black men were wrong? No, it's the system. It's the system. Think about this. This system was not created with us in mind. And certainly not occupying the halls of power. Mayor David Dinkins, pushback. We got Rudy Giuliani. President Barack Obama, pushback. We got Donald Trump.
Oh, Jesus.
Pushback. The system does not want us to be engaged in black excellence. They don't want to see us succeed. They want us to be subservient to the system. It is okay for you to work a job, but it's not okay for you to own a company. It is not okay for you to create a company and start prospering. And so let me just tell you that it feels good to be home. So what do you mean? Well, I was born in Harlem Hospital, right around the corner. My parents brought me home right across the street in a tenement that had hot water and hot heat challenge. We didn't have consistent hot water nor heat. And so at age 2, I caught pneumonia. At age 3, I ran out into the street and got hit by a car. And so my grandmother, who was one of 18, the youngest of 18, she came to New York City under the urge of a vacation. And her sisters and other family members, they stayed for a week. And when they was getting ready to go back, she came into the block. And she commandeered my father, and she ordered him to go upstairs and pack my bags because I was going back with her. And so, years later, I wake up one morning, and I'm on the south side of Chicago. Didn't know that I was living in black history and living black history. Think about this. The Reverend J.H. Jackson was the president of the National Baptist Convention on the south side of Chicago. Bishop Lewis Ford was the leader of the Kojic, Church of God in Christ, on the south side of Chicago. Further down the street in Chicago, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad headed the Nation of Islam. And then crosstown on the south side, a young minister had came to Chicago, and he created a nonprofit called PUSH. That was the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. In Chicago, there are as many black people on the west side than it is the south side. West side, the Black Panthers, Mark Clark, Fred Hampton, who got killed in that pre-dawn raid by the FBI. And so I'm living in black history. The most segregated city in the country, Chicago. But segregation created black wealth. When you think about the Reverend Jesse Jackson, when he threatened to boycott General Motors because they wouldn't give blacks dealerships, the former CEO of GM, Roger Smith, went out and he plucked a 29-year-old super salesman in Chicago and gave him an Oldsmobile dealership in the Bronx. And he was so successful, they gave him, Larry Seabrook, a Cadillac dealership in the Bronx. And then he got a Cadillac dealership in Yonkers, none other than Dick Gidron.
That's what I thought.
So, why is it that we as a black community, we're not disciplined enough not to buy goods and services from those companies and corporations that do not put blacks in their board and do not do business with black-owned businesses? We got to get disciplined.
Right.
We have, 13 conservative attorney generals across the South who sent a letter to the Fortune 100 companies in New York threatening them that if you do not dismantle your D&I programs, we're going to sue you because you're in violation of the Constitution. I say that we should put the onus back on them. That if they dismantle your D&I efforts, if you're not doing business with black-owned businesses, If there's no blacks on your board, guess what? We're not going to buy your products. And certainly, their shareholders are going to hold them accountable when their profits go down. And so we got to get disciplined to support those companies and businesses who support us. And let me say that I'm a Harlemite, but I'm also a Black Chicagoan. And about a year ago, I flew to Chicago for an event, and I took my boogie down Bronx brother, Martin Braxton, out to Chicago. And we're driving around the South Side. I'm proud. I showed him Minister Farrakhan's house, President Obama's house, the Obama Center that's being built down the street from the national headquarters of the AKAs. And I'm proud. And so I took him by where Harold Washington lived, over in Hyde Park, a few blocks from Lakeshore Drive. And there was a bronze plaque outside of the apartment building. And a brown plaque said, and I will read it verbatimly for you. It said that Harold Washington became the first black mayor of the city of Chicago in 1983. He won with broad support of the Rainbow Coalition. Mayor Washington, here it is again, opened up city government to all citizens. He increased the number of contracts to certified minority-owned businesses. Sounds like Mayor Davis. Sounds like Mayor Adams. It sounds like Governor Patterson. And in that moment that I stood outside, I said, guess what? My whole life has now come full circle. Here I am, raised in Chicago, and Harold Washington told me once, he asked me a question. He said, I travel with our urban planners. Do you know why? I says, no, why? He says, because if you're not planning, you're being planned. If you're not planning, you're being planned. And then it dawned on me again that Mayor David Dinkins gave me an opportunity to direct the minority business programs at the School Instruction Authority. 14 years, record number of contracts being awarded to minority-owned businesses. Governor David Patterson gave me the opportunity to become the MTA's first Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. 14 years, record number of contracts. And many of you don't even understand the gravity of the MTA. You think it's just a subway or bus. The MTA is a $1 trillion organization, the largest transportation network in North America, a $55 billion capital budget. And when we arrived there, the MTA out of 97 agencies was ranked last when it comes to dollars paid to minority-owned businesses. They were averaging $116 million a year, which equated to 6% minority business inclusion. And we turned that organization around. When we left, the MTA was awarding or paying $1.5 billion a year to minority-owned businesses at 31% index. We turned that around. And just think about this for a second. God is paying me to help other people. He's paying me. Think about all of your foreparents. 1619 slavery, sharecropping. We are the epitome of their prayers. They were in the field picking cotton and tobacco, working from sun up to can't see at night. And we are now, because of Black excellence, we're leaders, and we're getting things done because of the prayers of our foreparents. And let me just say, once again, be on guard. Stand firm in the faith, be courageous, and be strong. That's our history. And, you know, in life, you get knocked down. But it's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get up. It's going to make a difference. How many times you get up. Think about your pastor. Applied to Morehouse twice and got denied twice. Had he accepted that outcome, he would not be sitting here right now. So you got to get up, and you got to not willing to be accept no for an answer, and you got to keep on moving. Keep on moving. Let me say this: how many New York Knicks fans do we have here? Was that a good trade or what? It's a good trade. Fine. So in 1983. There was an NBA draft. And a 6'2", 185-pound shooting guard, scoring guard got drafted. Now back in those days, there were 12 rounds in the NBA draft. And if you slip to the 4th, 5th round and up, the chances of you making an NBA team was 2. Slim to none. But Sedell 3 got drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in the 6th round. He was the 130th player picked in that year's NBA draft. And guess what happened? He made the team. And so when training camp opened, the Philadelphia press asked him a question. How did it feel being a 6th round draft pick and sticking and making the Philadelphia 76ers? And Sedell's response was, in my own mind, I was always a 1st round draft pick. So get this, 29 teams got it wrong. 29 coaches, 29 scouts, 29 NBA owners got it wrong. He made the NBA. Fast forward. Sedell 3 played in the National Basketball Association for 14 years. He won 2 NBA championships, one with the Houston Rockets and the second one with the Los Angeles Lakers. And so, as I close, I want to just tell you one thing. Don't quit before your miracle.
Amen.
Don't quit before your miracle. You are only one phone call away, one handshake away, one agreement away from achieving your miracle. And how many times have you heard this before? Well, we normally don't do this. But that's grace.
That's right.
That's God blessing us. Let God stand firm in the faith. Be on guard. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous and be strong. Thank you. And in my Malachi 3:10 moment, I'm leaving my offering on the altar.